What did a crush do that made you immediately lose interest? I was casually dating a 19-year-old guy when I was 18. He seemed totally normal until I met him at his house before a date and his mom asked him to take the garbage out before we left. He threw a fit that would embarrass most 3-year-olds, including crying, yelling at his mom, and punching the floor. I pretended that my parents were calling and needed me to come home, blocked his number, and never saw him again. He would ask me questions about myself, then cut me off in the middle of my answer to talk about himself. Bragged about how she was leading on a few guys so she always had a backup. Poured lemonade on my head in the middle of a fireworks show. She thought it was flirty and cute. Should have poured it on her and asked her if she thought it was cute. I was having a party and the drinks were flowing. Went to check on her cause she had disappeared for a while. As I open the door, I see her sitting on a small wastebasket taking a shit in my bedroom. I couldn't get that picture out of my head. I know I've done my fair share of dumb stuff, but still couldn't forget it. Went on a date with them and they didn't ask me anything about myself. It was completely one-sided, like a job interview or something. I'm a guy, by the way. We were driving down the road and she threw a Starbucks cup right out the window. Gross. He let it slip that he was cheating on his so in getting together with me. Killed that crushy feeling dead. She told me her future plans to essentially become a gold digger like her mother. When I laughed it off, she couldn't see what I thought was so funny. He wouldn't talk to me in person for some reason. She told me that spanking her teenage daughter didn't work, because it wasn't satisfying enough. It's amazing how much horrible stuff you can fit in one sentence. I ran into an old crush a few years back who told me he was into dog baiting. The candle had blown out a long time ago as far as my crush was concerned, but that pretty much killed any intention I had of trying to restart our friendship. I'll bite. What's dog baiting? From my experiences seeing this sort of shit in the Philippines, you'd have a dog in a cage chained in the middle, and an animal, like a cat or whatever, would be thrown in. The dog is trained to maul the fuck out of the victim animal. I believe bets are placed on how quickly or slowly the dog can kill the victim. Ask me to be their wingman because they had a crush on my best friend. Oof, same thing happened to me. Then when I moved on he started being sexually inappropriate and bullied me, only when my best friend and my boyfriend weren't around. To this day it's why I was ever attracted to someone like that. Gave me a 5-minute lecture on conditions where cheating is okay. Kicked a dog. Instantly lost all attraction. He talked about how he wanted to loosen up some boring family at a wedding reception, so he spiked their drinks with party drugs. We were eating dinner out and he was rude to the server. Told him, we were pretty close friends, it would be nice to add a please or thank you. He said, why should I, she's a waitress, implying he feels superior, and I pay her to do her job. Instant turn off and didn't really want to hang out with him even as friends after the incident. When she said to my mother I'm going to fix him after finally introducing her. I left her the following day. A woman I was talking to was recently divorced and had moved back in with her parents. She already had a child and a couple pets and was talking about getting another pet, and her parents told her no. She chose to go ahead and get another pet anyhow, and basically her parents began pushing her out the door. and it was a stressful situation for her and I suggested she talk to her folks. However, once she told me she was grown and made her own decisions and did not care about their rules, I suddenly understood and quickly lost interest. A massive turnoff for me are people who genuinely don't give a shit about their parents or their opinions when their parents aren't oppressive or hurtful in any way. I went on 2 dates with a girl when I was in college. She was wonderful but immediately wanted to be official and started drafting Instagram posts about us. She wanted to spend every day together and have sleepovers every night. It was so out of nowhere and we literally knew nothing about one another. I tried to look past it, but she asked me to be her first and I got uncomfortable. She seemed naive and I didn't want to take advantage. I suggested we take things slow and she took offense. I cut things off and her reaction was super childish. All of this in a 3-week period. Sweet girl, but the pacing was off. I partly blame those crazy teenage drama shows where everyone is telling each other they're in love and no one knows you like I do. In the first week of a relationship, my stepdaughter got me into the Vampire Diaries. I feel so silly. I'm on the 3rd season and it never occurred to me that the timeline is the span of a year. Oh okay, yeah, sure. Come up with a realistic show where you've got 7 years with someone only to find out that you have no clue who they really are. I've been hurt, lol. Got so drunk at a party that she shit herself. The smell is really what did it. A guy who was a straight-up doppelganger for Bradley Cooper had a massive crush on me. He was funny, smart, educated and accomplished. I could never get over how I had, on 2 separate occasions, seen him piss himself drunk. He would steal people's tips off the bar counter when we were at a bar together with friends. Then he would offer to buy me food with it. No thank you. I once knew a girl, back in the 1980s, who told me how she made money going to the bar, because all these other people went home and just left all this money sitting on the bar, so she scooped it up. She sounded very smug and proud of herself. Co-worker at work had just a beautiful energy, absolutely lovely to be around, always smiling at everyone, and she would laugh at my jokes, and she made some comments from time to time that made me feel validated and understood, which was very flattering, like she guessed my passions in life and told them to me, with a big smile while looking me in the eyes, and I'm a reserved guy who doesn't share that stuff. All just very lovely. One day we're in the break room and she's talking to another guy the same way and I'm consciously talking myself out of being jealous. You're not dating or anything, you don't even have her cell phone number. She's allowed to be lovely with other people now, come on, no reason to be jealous. Then when the guy leaves she turns to the girl next to her and says, God, I hate that guy. And I had just been jealous that she was treating him exactly like she treats me. I still feel foolish when I think about it, like does she like me or hate me? I had a co-worker like that. I wasn't interested in her, but she became what I thought was a very good friend. A year or so later and she'd found a way to one-up me with the boss and the mask came off, all after I'd trusted her, had drinks at her place with her fiancé and dog, etc. Then I watched her do this exact same thing to every new person using the same stories and tactics. Narcissism is no joke. Back in college I was seeing a girl casually. Whenever we'd text, she'd take hours to respond to any message. It wasn't a big deal, since most of the time it was just chatting or setting plans for the following weekend or something. It was a little annoying because it'd take a full day or 2 to set up plans because of the slow responses, but whatever. I'm a bad texter, so I can't really judge someone for that. But I started to notice that when we hung out together, she'd immediately respond back to any and every text she got. She had some loud song as the ringtone that played for like 15 seconds, and set it so that her camera LED would flash constantly while it rang. Totally obnoxious and made me really notice how often she texted. I casually asked her who she was texting one time and it was just some friend from school that had sent her a meme. After that I realized it wasn't going to work. Being a slow texter is fine. Constantly texting while hanging out was annoying, but not a deal breaker, especially if we were just chilling at one of our houses. But the realization that this person who was glued to her phone but didn't feel like it was a priority to respond back to my texts made me feel unimportant, so I kinda just drifted away. We stayed friends because we shared the same group of friends and it wasn't awkward or anything. I just stopped trying to do things with just the two of us. She generalized everyone. She was also such a bitch to everyone that she didn't understand. He plays video games. Wow, when do you think he'll move out of his mother's basement? Wow, she wears so much makeup, can you imagine what she's hiding under that face? Just such a mean-spirited person, and it completely turned me off. Ugh. I had a friend like that. Extremely judgmental. She always said, "What? I'm blunt, you know that." But God forbid anyone was ever blunt with her. I eventually stopped talking to her. She wasn't blunt, she was bitchy. This is the same friend that told me my anxiety and depression were all in my head and I could make it go away if I really wanted to. Ironically, a few years later she started having panic attacks and meltdowns and had to take the same meds she told me I didn't need.